Hey guys, got Kingston back here again. Don, I'm kind of texting with you here and there just a minute ago, and we was talking about the hill. Now, Kingston isn't where he should be with his heel. You see him coming into a hill real nice, and that's because we've sat here and done this over and over and over again in order to teach him this correct position. And I'm not even looking at the dog, I'm looking at the camera. The ideal setup would be on my walls around in here would be mirrors, and same as a dance studio or something where you could see exactly what position the dog was in without looking at the dog, because of course in trial you can't be walking looking at the dog seeing where the dog is. You need to be looking straight ahead, and the dog needs to be focused on you in order to get the most possible points. Loose. Dog should be straight, square. He shouldn't be cockeyed. He shouldn't be, just turn here, loose. And like I say, he's not trained, he's not the best for this video. He's sitting back just a little bit right now. He should be, right here is where he should be. He should be lined up right with my thigh, my knee, and focusing on me. Don't know if you can see this on this video or not, but the dog shouldn't be focusing on the food in the hand. Let's turn Kingston loose. I hold it out here, and he knows it's out here, but he's focusing right here is where he's looking. Not because I took a ball and stuck it under my arm, it's because when he looks here is when I click and reward him. He's learned the clicker means that he did right. You've got to teach the dog the clicker first off. I used to be one of these people that hated these things, talked about people that used them, laughed at them and everything else. And quite a few years of a real good friendship with Martin Pezja over in the Czech Republic. Lots of videos exchanged between me and him. And that dog really shouldn't be rewarded for wrapping around me again. Plots. But anyhow, lots of years of really good friendship, videos exchanged. Foos. Martin taught me about the clicker, and it changed my training. It changed years of training, years of what I thought that I knew I had to throw aside. It did help me read the dog, but Kingston's far from staying in position. We're going to steer him here. He hasn't had this one done yet. And on those left turns, he should be swinging his ass rather than, and he's going to have problems with this. There he goes. Just getting the dog to swing its ass like that over and over again takes repetition after repetition after repetition. You can see, we want him to, he came close to swinging his rear end around, but he was sitting down. So what you need to do is go back to square one with that dog. And, yep, I stepped on you, I know, buddy. Go back to square one. And teach him to focus up here, look up here, and reward for looking up here. Another thing you can do, and I would really go back to square one with the dog and just sit and reward over and over again for this focus, Foos, on you. There he's sitting sideways. Come on, Foos. If he knew how to swing that ass, he wouldn't have to jump back like that. Getting that position down. If you work it really hard, nothing but the heel position, you can get this down in 2 weeks' time. I would get in a room or somewhere, field, whatever you got to do, and work this position over and over and over again repeatedly. If you have your dog trained on an e-collar, where it understands the e-collar, and that's just the same as a clicker, the dog has to understand what the clicker means. And you've got to teach it that the clicker means you've done right, therefore you got rewarded. And same with the e-collar. With the e-collar, it's a matter of putting the e-collar on the dog along with a leash on a regular collar. Kingston, come on, boost. And plots. We're going to see if he's going to stay in a down and stay now. I've been working on his down and stay, and what we're doing is just repeatedly over and over again, giving him more time. Me walking back and forth. The first time I took a step, for the first couple of days, he wanted to follow along with me rather than plots. Stay in his position. He heard me. He didn't need another command. He's just taking his sweet time doing it. But anyhow, with the e-collar and the leash, and I've got to work this dog while I'm doing this video. He's got to learn this down and stay. And let's put the e-collar on the dog. You probably already know this, but I'm going to go over it anyhow for the other people watching that don't understand. Teaching the dog the e-collar. Plots. Teaching the dog the e-collar is, first off, it's got to be making contact. You start on a low setting, hit the button, turn it up a notch each time until you get a little twitch out of the dog, and that means it's getting good contact. That's about the level you want to work them on. You stick it on the dog, you put the leash on the other collar, and simultaneously pull the leash, push the button at the same time, either when you're heeling, which is what you're working with on cane there, or your sits, your push it at the same time. Yeah, you heard me, buddy, didn't you? Or your plots. You can pull it down and push the button at the same time, but the dog has to understand that the stimulation in its neck from the e-collar is the same as pulling a leash. So the two simultaneously together teaches the dog that the stimulation is the exact same as the leash, and after a week or so, 2 weeks of working the dog this way on low level, you can take the leash off and throw that sucker wherever you want, because all you need is your remote, and the dog understands it. Plots. 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 If I went to a ball reward, which we're working on doing as well, he would do this a lot quicker, but we're working with food rather than prey drive. On the heel position, walking with the dog in the heel position, they make a short leash, about, you can get them, I believe, 6 inches long, 9 inches long, 12 inches long, and they've got a little wooden toggle handle on them. Some of them just have a little loop, some of them don't. It's called a tab, is what it's called, and you hook it onto your prong collar on your dog for corrections in the heel position. And when the dog starts to forge ahead, you give it a little pop on the tab. Same thing when it's not focusing, and it's best to work with a spotter if you don't have a room with mirrors, I was going to get the mirrors up in here. Maybe I will eventually, maybe I won't. But you got to have a spotter so when your dog is getting out of position, you can give it that correction. Plots. He is just taking his sweet time with that. He went down eventually. Again, I'm looking in the camera right here, and the screen's turned towards me, so I can see what he's doing, so I don't need to look at him. Foos. Oh, foos. I still got to swing my arms, swing my body sometimes for him. As you can see, I'm not looking at him. He is focused right here. I've taught him to look here, not here or here. I've taught him to look here because it's better for the dog's head to be up in competition instead of forging. If you teach them to look here, the dog will, come on, Foos, the dog will forge ahead. And I'm going to step back and show you forging. See, he knew I was out of position, so he's went back into position on his own. But when the dog is forging ahead and he has his head out here, wrapping it around like this so he can see up here at your face rather than looking here, he's forging ahead. Forging's going to knock points in a competition. Breaking eye contact is going to lose points. I mean, they might only shave a half a point, might shave a half a point each time the dog does it, might be 5 points. Being's the heel position, Foos position is 90% of all the routine is that dog being in a heel position, in a Foos position. It's something that a lot of us work over and over and over again. It's something that a lot of us really try to perfect. And for a couple weeks with all these dogs, all these pups, I am right here doing this right here. I might mix it up a little bit. He's looking to see if we dropped a piece. Maybe we did, maybe he heard it. But I'm working with these dogs over and over and over again, and we will go back and forth from, see, he's nailing that heel position on his own because we've worked it so much. I've imprinted it into him. So I might go here and put him in here position in front of me. Plots. I put him in a plots in front of me. Sit. Yeah, he sidestepped, but still, I'm going to reward him. All right, Foos. Now, come on, Foos. You're not squared up. Come on, Foos. He's not. He's still a little crooked, but he's trying. He's getting up against me. Plots. Now there you go, buddy. I'll reward you for that one. Even though I said plots, he moved his ass over. He corrected himself, and that deserves a reward. Even though I told him the plots. Come on, Foos. Come on, Foos. Sit. Plots. 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 Foos. Sometimes I got to shuffle my feet a little bit to bring him back up. Here. Plots. Here. Foos. Plots. Plots. All the way down. Plots. Plots. Foos. I might do combinations of any of these over and over again, repetitions, in order to imprint these positions into the dog's mind I mean, it's repetition over again. Every single bite of food comes directly out of my hand. The whole time the dog's here for training, every single day. I don't take Sundays off, I don't take Saturdays off. If I take a day off because I pulled my back or I had COVID, which I did, my wife is out here working the dogs. They're still getting worked. But I hope that helps a little bit with the heel position. It's kind of hard to explain some things on video when it's really easier to do it there in person. I was planning on making a trip up to Michigan. Foos. See my buddy up there again, and we got some things going on there and this year, and just bit my finger. Anyhow, I get that every day too. Foos, I was really hoping to get up there and get you out in the training field, work with you a little bit one-on-one, especially since Kane did come for me. I know you've been messaging me, telling me that he's going for his BH here in 3 weeks. Hate to say it, they hand those BHs out like candy, but I would like to see you have the highest BH there, since it's one of my dogs. Plots. Plots. Come on, all the way down. Plots. Yep. Now we get these days like this too. And I'm not a person that edits out mistakes. He's focused on me again. Plots. Plots. You can see him on video. Plots. Gotta stretch my legs sometimes, standing in the spot, staring at that camera, trying to talk to it. And anybody who's ever taught a dog to down and stay knows those first few times that dog wants to go right with you. It's a little hard, and I haven't used any corrections on him yet. The only thing I've done is verbally repeated the command, sometimes raised my voice a little higher. I've also, I don't just work one spot here in this room. This thing's 26 foot long, 12 foot wide. It's kind of small, but Martin Pezia used to work in a basement half the size of this. And the man's been to world championships more times than you can shake a stick at. You don't need a big training center under a roof and a big blacktop parking lot to train dogs. For a training room, all you need is an area to confine the dog in with no distractions, nothing for him to go mess with, whatever. Check out. I mean, even the divider standing up back here in the corner really shouldn't be in the training room. But the dog's been in here so many times, he could care less about that. So, we're rewarding, you know, in this spot. Another thing we want to do is plots. Plots. Oh, plots. We got to take him. Plots. Nope. Come on. Kingston. Plots. Plots. Over there. Plots. He thought we was done. Usually when we're done, I shut the camera off. It's playtime. He gets wound up. Got to keep it fun for the dog. And plots. Come on. Plots. Plots. Kingston. Plots. Plots. This is another thing we do. He's in the position, repetition, plots, over and over again, plots. He gets done eating that, he'll stay there for a minute. But Kingston also knows that when we're done in here, we go out and we do bite work. I've always done things in this way. If I'm working a dog on tracking, I like to take it out to the field, lay the track, work on track, do some obedience in the field, usually like in a morning or something. If I don't have any help there to do bite work, we come back home, when we go out to the front yard, which is my training field, and go back to working the dog, it's always obedience before we start doing any bite work, protection work. Always make the dog work for it, because if he doesn't have to do his obedience first and it's all fun and games biting the sleeve, then they'll ignore the shit out of you just to get to the bite work. So I've kind of got an order that I do things in for reasons. Plots, can't tell much on this camera, but it is starting to get dark outside. The skylights that I put into my training room here kind of keep it lit up. I don't have my electric ran in here yet. I've had the electric for the last couple of years. Just a matter of getting it ran and putting lights and things in, which hopefully I'll get that done this year. But anyhow, repetition over and over again. If you're having an issue with one thing in particular, focus working strictly on that, nothing else. Mix it up a little bit, but 2/3 of the training session should be on the one thing that you're having an issue with, things that you need to focus on. And the dog should be advancing every single day. One day this is acceptable, but the next day it's not acceptable, because you got to be advancing, even if it's little steps. It's got to advance. If your dog's just standing still in its training, then you're really doing nothing but working and imprinting the same bad things over in its head over and over again. It's about learning experience every single day. See, he's coming in nice and tight now. I got some comments on the last video about in the front yard was the first time he was out there doing obedience with the distractions and things out there. It's hard to set my camera up out in the front yard. I've got to use a barrel with 2 boards between it because I don't have a stand for my camera, and it makes it very hard for me to make videos in the front yard by myself, and that's the reason my back tie videos and things are always in the same spot on the same tree, because I've got that barrel sitting there with the boards. And let's see if we can steer him a little bit. I haven't worked the tight terms and everything with Kingston as much, because he is a personal protection dog, not a competition dog. If his owner got a hold of me and says, hey, I want to compete with him, we would really tighten the shit out of this. When I turn, his ass end would be turning, not his whole body. We would be able to turn, and the dog would swing his ass around rather than getting up and moving around. And you can't see on that. It takes lots of tight circles teaching the dog. There it did it. When he swings his ass, is when you want to reward. That way, and he already understands the clicker, so we'll see how quick we can get him swinging his rear end around. Come on, King. Boots. Yep, I know, you're ready to go do something else. Come on, boots. Oh, but no. Boots. Boots. Start swinging it a little bit, and it really needs to be done on a left-hand turn. And what I'm doing is holding the food into the side of his nose, where his face is going around sideways. You did it there, but didn't you? There you did it. It's baby steps. Doesn't look so pretty now. If we worked on this for, a few days, few weeks, I'd have him swinging that ass just as pretty as could be, and staying tight. But the main thing I'm focusing with on Kingston right now is getting him to bark when I have the sleeve either in my hands or on my arm. Having major issues with that one. He will bark at that sleeve as long as it's on the ground, but the minute I pick it up, he shuts up. And it's going to, either we're going to get him there, or we're going to have to just quit putting it on the ground altogether and getting him worked up with it on the arm. Anyhow, you got questions, you got my number there. Give me a call tomorrow. I know you said you're out to dinner with your husband right now. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off. It's actually getting pretty dark out already, and that's the reason we have a time seeing him right there where he is. Finish working him on some down and stays, get out there and do a little bit of white bite work. Have a nice day, everybody.